Ever wondered what goes on behind the closed doors of the royal family's Christmas celebration? It's not all about lavish gifts and festive cheer. What if I told you that the Windsors, with all their wealth, follow a completely different holiday tradition that most of us could never imagine? Get ready to uncover the bizarre and astonishing rules that govern their royal Christmas, traditions so strange they might just surprise you. The winds that relentlessly batter the Norfolk coast in late December are harsh and unforgiving, slicing through the flat, barren landscape and howling fiercely through the ancient chimneys of Sandringham House. The cold, biting air seems to carry the weight of centuries, as if it too has borne witness to the royal family's countless holidays. For most families across Britain, Christmas is a cherished time, a moment of rest, relaxation, and escape from the hustle and bustle of the year. It's a time to loosen one's tie, unwind with loved ones, and indulge in the chaotic yet comforting whirlwind of the season. Homes are filled with warmth, laughter, and the scent of festive meals. But for the House of Windsor, and especially for King Charles III, the holiday period is anything but restful. Christmas for them is not about retreating from the world. It is, in fact, the opposite. It is a high-stakes, meticulously planned operation, a carefully crafted performance that stretches over 3 days, governed by a rigid schedule and rituals so steeped in history that they seem more akin to a ceremonial reenactment than a family gathering. This is no ordinary celebration. It is a military operation disguised in the trappings of tradition, where each hour is accounted for, every gesture measured, and the slightest deviation from custom is unthinkable. To the uninitiated, these rituals might seem perplexing, even bizarre, an anachronistic throwback to a time when monarchy was not just about tradition, but about the preservation of power. To the outsider, they would appear not only baffling but almost entirely alien. In the world of Sandringham, Christmas is not a time to kick back and relax. Instead, it is a stage upon which the royal family performs their roles, upholding centuries-old practices that are far removed from the casual comfort most people associate with the holidays. What might seem like a festive gathering to the rest of the world is, in fact, a high-profile display of authority, continuity, and tradition in a rapidly changing world that seems increasingly indifferent to the monarchy's place within it. For King Charles III, this is not just a family holiday. It is a moment to reaffirm his position, to uphold the heritage of his ancestors, and to carry out the duties entrusted to him not just as a monarch, but as the steward of a living legacy. This is not merely about tradition for tradition's sake. It is a much deeper commitment, one rooted in the preservation of continuity in an age that seems increasingly determined to leave the monarchy behind. In an era of rapidly changing values, where the relevance of the royal family is constantly questioned, the rituals at Sandringham serve as a defiant stand against the erosion of time-honored practices. Here, time itself bends to the will of tradition. The hours pass with an eerie precision, almost as though each moment is orchestrated to preserve the very essence of royal authority. Meals at Sandringham are not just meals. They are grand theatrical productions, carefully choreographed to reflect the gravitas of the monarchy. Each course, every serving, every toast is a deliberate act, steeped in symbolism and designed to reinforce the legacy that the family represents. The very act of entering a room is dictated by a hierarchy that has remained unchanged for over a century, a rigid structure that echoes the power and order the monarchy has long been built upon. While the rest of Britain is indulging in their Christmas feasts, sleeping off a hearty turkey dinner, or tearing into wrapping paper with the carefree abandon of the holiday season, the king and his kin are navigating a labyrinth of etiquette and decorum. This is no ordinary family gathering. It is a carefully managed performance, with every movement governed by a code laid down by Queen Victoria and cemented by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Every step, every glance is guided by centuries of tradition that cannot be altered or ignored without consequence. To step out of line is not merely to breach protocol, it is to show disrespect for the very institution that has, for over 1,000 years, served as the foundation of the British monarchy itself. In these moments, the monarchy is not just surviving, it is asserting its relevance, reminding all who bear witness that its role, its power, and its place in history are non-negotiable. It is not enough to follow tradition, they must embody it, live it, breathe it. The royal family's Christmas is not a celebration of personal joy, it is a ritual of power, continuity, and unbroken lineage. The atmosphere at Sandringham is far removed from the warmth of a cozy family gathering. It is more akin to a peculiar blend of Downton Abbey meets a state funeral, where every laugh is calculated, every outfit change is mandatory, and every gesture carries significant weight. There is little room for spontaneity or informality. The laughter that echoes through the halls is polite, reserved, never too loud or too free-flowing. The regal attire is changed on cue, as if the very act of dressing signifies the seriousness of the occasion. Every move, every word, every glance is choreographed, ensuring that the family remains ever the embodiment of royal duty. What makes these rituals so captivating, however, isn't merely their rigidity, but the deep symbolism embedded within them. These practices are not arbitrary, they carry centuries of meaning. each one a thread in the elaborate tapestry of the monarchy's enduring legacy. Many of the habits that King Charles clings to are direct ties to his German ancestry, remnants of a time when the royal family was known as the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. These customs are relics of a bygone era, handed down through generations, resistant to the tides of time and change. Some of these rituals take on a more superstitious tone, as if they are designed to ward off bad luck or honor the spirits of monarchs past who passed away within the very walls where the family now celebrates. The royal Christmas, with all its pomp and precision, feels almost like a memorial to those who have come before, as though every ritual performed is a tribute to the ghosts that linger in the corridors of Sandringham. From the bizarre tradition of weighing guests on antique scales, an echo of royal hospitality during times of food scarcity, to the meticulous timing of gift-giving which defies British custom, these rituals are what define the royal Christmas experience. Each tradition, strange as it may seem, plays a part in perpetuating the history and mystique of the monarchy, reinforcing the idea that the royal family is not just a symbol of the present, but a living connection to the past. We often encounter the monarchy through the glittering lens of golden carriages, grand ceremonies, and waves from the royal balconies, moments carefully curated for the public eye. These fleeting spectacles, brimming with opulence and tradition, present only the surface of what the institution represents. They are polished images designed to evoke awe and reverence, reinforcing the monarchy's role as a symbol of national pride and continuity. However, the true nature of the British monarchy, its power, its depth, and its resilience, is not so easily captured in flashes of grandeur. It is in the quiet, sacred spaces behind the red brick walls of Sandringham that the heart of the institution is revealed. Here, far from the watchful eyes of the public, the monarchy is not just an emblematic figurehead. It is a living, breathing institution kept alive by the careful stewardship of the king and his family. At Sandringham, King Charles III is not merely a head of state presiding over political affairs. He is the custodian of a living museum, a keeper of royal history, and the heir to a vast legacy that stretches back through centuries of monarchy. Every action, every word spoken within these walls is part of an intricate performance, a deliberate act meant to preserve and enact a script that was written long before his birth by his great-great-grandparents. These traditions, passed down from one generation to the next, form the very core of the royal family's existence. They are not mere customs but vital living links to the past that help ensure the continuity of the monarchy in an ever-changing world. The monarchy, as we see it today, is inextricably tied to these deeply ingrained rituals. They are the invisible threads that bind the royal family together and hold it aloft as a symbol of unity and tradition. Far from being relics of a bygone era, these traditions are the very glue that holds the firm together, giving it structure, purpose, and meaning in a time when the relevance of such institutions is frequently called into question. To understand these rituals is to unlock a rare and intimate glimpse into the psychology of a man who, for 70 long years, waited for the moment when he would finally ascend the throne. For King Charles, this was not merely a matter of power or position, it was the culmination of a lifetime spent shouldering the weight of history, 70 years of waiting, of preparation, and of observing the shifting tides of public opinion, have shaped King Charles into a monarch who carries with him the burden of not just his own legacy, but the collective legacy of the British royal family. It is a burden he has borne in silence, a constant undercurrent of responsibility that has defined his life and will continue to shape his reign. In assuming the throne, Charles does not simply inherit the title of king. He inherits a complex web of obligations, traditions, and expectations, each one tied to the survival of the monarchy itself. These traditions are not optional, they are non-negotiable. They are the foundation upon which the monarchy stands, and they serve as a constant reminder of the delicate balance between modernity and history, For Charles, these traditions are far from empty formalities. They are the means by which the monarchy remains relevant in an era that often seems at odds with its centuries-old practices. They are the rituals that provide a sense of stability in a world marked by uncertainty, change, and upheaval. And while the public may see them as eccentricities or outmoded practices, for the royal family, they are the vital tools that allow them to navigate the complexities of public life and maintain their status as one of the oldest and most enduring institutions in the world. Ultimately, understanding these traditions offers a rare insight into the mind of King Charles III. It reveals a man who has spent a lifetime preparing for a role that is as much about duty and service as it is about power. The rituals of Sandringham, the ancient customs, and the carefully measured steps of Royal Protocol are not simply performances, they are the framework through which Charles and the monarchy assert their continued relevance and place in the world. In this world where every gesture has meaning and every tradition carries weight, King Charles stands not only as a monarch but as a custodian of history, a man who understands that the monarchy is not just an institution to be inherited, but one to be preserved for future generations. In nearly every household across the United Kingdom and the United States, Christmas morning is a whirlwind of excitement. Children and adults alike rush to the tree, eagerly tearing into wrapping paper to discover what Santa has delivered. The anticipation is palpable as the festive cheer spreads through every corner of the home. But if you were to wake up at Sandringham on Christmas morning, expecting to find a pile of gifts under the tree, you would be greeted with an entirely different atmosphere, one that is stark, reserved, and surprisingly formal. Here in the royal household, King Charles follows a very different tradition, one that has been passed down through generations. This tradition, imported directly from Germany by Prince Albert in the 19th century, stands in stark contrast to the typical British Christmas customs. The Windsors do not open their gifts on Christmas Day. Instead, they adhere to the practice of exchanging presents at tea time on Christmas Eve, a ritual that dates back to the royal family's Germanic roots that even 2 world wars could not erase from their private calendar. This tradition is more than just a quirky royal habit. It is a living link to the monarchy's German heritage, a deep connection to the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, from which Prince Albert and Queen Victoria hailed. Despite the passage of time, and despite the turbulent history that unfolded throughout the 20th century, this Germanic influence remains a constant part of the royal family's Christmas celebrations. For King Charles, this tradition is a mark of his lineage, a testament to his family's deep ties to Europe, ties that are preserved not only in history books but in the personal, private moments shared at Sandringham. By opening gifts on Christmas Eve rather than Christmas Day, the royal family maintains a sense of distinction, marking the holiday in a way that sets them apart from the rest of Britain. It is a symbolic gesture that echoes the monarchy's unique position as both a British institution and a European dynasty. And for King Charles, it is a reminder that no matter how much the world around them changes, the Windsors remain tethered to their past, a past that continues to shape their present and perhaps their future. At exactly 6:00 p.m., the royal family assembles in the Red Drawing Room, the heart of Sandringham's festive traditions. Treated tables are meticulously laid out, one for each family member, each laden with gifts that glisten with promise. The scene is one of organized chaos, a flurry of anticipation and excitement, yet even in this flurry there is a rigid sense of order. The holiday spirit is carefully curated, every moment etched with the precision of a royal schedule. No one, however, is allowed to lay a hand on a single package until King Charles himself gives the signal. This moment, though seemingly simple, is charged with deeper significance. It reinforces the patriarchal structure that defines the royal family, an unspoken reminder that even within the confines of leisure, authority flows from the top down. The king, as both father and monarch, holds the power to control the tempo of the event, reminding everyone that the family is not just a private gathering but an institution. The timing is sacrosanct, non-negotiable. The clock strikes and the ritual begins. It is not just about opening gifts, it is about maintaining the dignity and order of the monarchy. The precise timing ensures that Christmas Day itself remains untouched by the excesses of material indulgence. It is reserved instead for spiritual reflection and royal duty, for the values that transcend personal pleasure. As the gifts are opened, it is not the joy of consumerism that prevails, but the solemn acknowledgement that duty comes first, even at Christmas. This adherence to German customs serves a dual purpose, each aspect of which plays a critical role in shaping the royal family's identity and reinforcing its traditions. Historically, it serves to separate the royal family from common British practices, solidifying their position as a European dynasty with roots far beyond the shores of Britain. By continuing to honor these Germanic rituals, King Charles ensures that the Windsors are not just another family in the British landscape, but rather an ancient European house, transplanted to British soil yet deeply embedded in the European aristocratic tradition. This distinction serves as a constant reminder that the monarchy is not solely a national institution. It is a living connection to centuries of European history, extending back through the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha and beyond. In upholding these customs, King Charles subtly but powerfully reasserts the royal family's unique, transnational heritage, one that resists being diluted or conformed to the more common British traditions. Emotionally, these customs also provide a clear space for the royal family to connect with the spiritual and solemn aspects of the holiday season, serving as a means of clearing the slate for the religious obligations of Christmas Day. The exchange of gifts, though festive and meaningful, occurs on Christmas Eve, a gesture that serves to draw a clear line between the material and the sacred. By putting aside the excitement of consumerism and the personal indulgence of gift-giving on the evening before, King Charles ensures that Christmas Day itself remains devoted to its higher purpose, reflection, prayer, and royal duty. For the monarchy, the day is not about the accumulation of wealth or material pleasure. It is about the solemn duty of the king to uphold the monarchy's role in British society, including its role as the defender of the faith. By carefully removing the distractions of materialism, King Charles preserves the integrity of Christmas Day, ensuring that it is not overshadowed by the same consumer-driven frenzy that permeates much of the world. Christmas Eve, with its gift exchanges and festive indulgence, is a temporary diversion, one that prepares the family to focus on their duties and responsibilities the following day. Christmas Day itself is about reflection, ritual, and reinforcing the monarchy's connection to faith and country. The day is centered around the church, with its ancient rites and prayers, and the state, with the monarchy's unyielding commitment to duty and service. This careful division between the festive and the spiritual helps to preserve the gravity and solemnity of the royal family's role. The king's actions, even in these private moments, serve to remind everyone that above all, the monarchy is not about personal indulgence or wealth. It is about service to God, to the nation, and to the continued. Why of a tradition that, despite the changing world around it, must remain rooted in the core values of faith, duty, and responsibility. Through this deliberate separation of the material and the sacred, King Charles upholds the sacred gravity of the crown, ensuring that the monarchy does not lose its sense of purpose, no matter the trappings of modern life. In this way, the rituals of the royal Christmas are not just about celebrating the season, they are about reaffirming the monarchy's timeless mission to serve both faith and nation, above all else. Perhaps the most bizarre, and certainly one of the most anxiety-inducing, traditions King Charles oversees at Sandringham is the ritual involving a set of antique jockey scales that date all the way back to the reign of King Edward III. These scales, seemingly out of place in the modern world, serve as the focal point of a rather unusual custom. Upon arriving at Sandringham, every guest, whether they are the most junior royal or the most seasoned courtier, is required to sit on these old scales and be weighed. It is a moment that many would find profoundly uncomfortable, especially for those already conscious of their holiday indulgence. The idea of stepping onto the scales under the watchful eyes of the royal family sounds like something out of a nightmare for anyone concerned about their festive diet, but the strange ritual does not end there. It is repeated at the conclusion of the stay. The objective, while simple, is undeniably odd. Every guest must have gained weight by the time they depart. This peculiar practice, which may seem like an invasion of privacy or an unnecessary source of stress, actually has its roots in history. The tradition dates back to the early 1900s, a time when food scarcity was still a reality for many people, particularly among the poorer classes. In an era when hunger and deprivation were daily fears for a large portion of the population, the ability to overeat and gain weight was seen as a sign of wealth, privilege, and abundance. Gluttony in this context was not a vice, it was a symbol of aristocratic hospitality and generosity. At its core, this ritual is about reinforcing the notion of the royal family's power and status, with the scales serving as a reminder of the lavishness and comfort that their guests enjoy. In the eyes of the royals, ensuring that everyone leaves a little heavier symbolizes the success of the household's hospitality, proof that the guests were well fed, indulged, and treated to the finest food and drink that the estate could offer. Yet, for many of the guests, the experience is far from a relaxing one. The ritual can be deeply unsettling, as it places them in the uncomfortable position of being judged on their consumption. It also serves as a physical manifestation of the monarchy's control. Here, even the bodily state of the guests is under scrutiny. Despite the discomfort it may cause, the tradition endures, a curious relic from a time when such displays of wealth and power were commonplace. In the modern world, it might be seen as an outdated and rather excessive practice. But for King Charles, it serves as a link to the past, a reminder of the history that shapes the royal family's sense of duty and tradition. It is, perhaps, one of the last remnants of a bygone era, an era when monarchy was about more than just the political and ceremonial. It was also about maintaining the power structures that defined the aristocracy. Edward III, renowned for his insatiable appetite and love of lavish feasts, sought to ensure that his guests were abundantly well-fed during their stays at court. In a time when food scarcity was a real concern for many, the ability to indulge in excess was a mark of wealth and privilege. The tradition he established became more than just about feeding guests. It was about making a statement of hospitality and power. If a guest did not gain weight during their stay, it was seen as a direct insult to the king's hospitality. It suggested that the kitchen had failed, the food was subpar, or that the royal welcome had been lacking in some way. It was a subtle yet powerful reminder of the importance of abundance in royal circles. Today, King Charles continues to uphold this eccentric tradition, though its meaning has shifted over time. It is no longer about measuring the guests' physical health or even ensuring they are properly nourished. Rather, it has become a piece of living history. The scales no longer serve as a measure of dietary success, but as a grimly humorous initiation right into the world of royal rituals. For the modern guest, stepping onto the scales is less about tracking their caloric intake and more about acknowledging their place within the royal system. It is a reminder that, regardless of who they are or what their social status might be, they are first and foremost guests of the crown. The tradition serves to reinforce the hierarchical structure of the monarchy, emphasizing that the royal family is the ultimate authority in every aspect of life, even down to the bodily states of those within their orbit. It is an unsettling yet oddly charming display of the control the monarchy still wields over its domain. For King Charles, keeping this tradition alive is not about strict adherence to an outdated custom, but about preserving a piece of history that connects him to his ancestors. It is a subtle, if strange, way of reminding everyone from junior royals to seasoned courtiers that when they enter Sandringham, they are not just individuals, they are guests of the crown, subject to the whims of tradition and the expectations of their royal hosts. While the royal family reportedly laughs it off today, the symbolism behind this tradition carries a weight that extends far beyond the act of stepping onto an antique set of scales. It is heavy with the history of duty, obligation, and the monarchy's enduring control over even the most intimate aspects of its guests' lives. The ritual is not just about measuring physical weight, It represents the total consumption of the royal experience. It serves as a reminder that within the walls of Sandringham, guests are not merely visiting for leisure. They are partaking in an experience crafted entirely by the monarchy, one that demands full participation even to excess. You are expected to immerse yourself in everything the king offers, from the finest foods to the strict adherence to royal protocols. The very act of being weighed, a seemingly benign tradition, becomes a form of submission to the royal household's all-encompassing authority. It is a physical manifestation of the royal prerogative to control every aspect of life, even the bodily state of those within their orbit. From the clothes they wear to the meals they consume, the royal family's control extends into every corner of a guest's experience, ensuring that the monarchy's influence is felt on the most personal level. Refusing the scales, however, would be a serious breach of protocol, an act of defiance that is not merely about rejecting an uncomfortable ritual, but about rejecting the very system of royal authority that upholds it. It would be a rejection of the game King Charles is determined to keep playing, a game that upholds the firm's values of hierarchy, tradition, and control. To opt out of this ritual is to signal a refusal to participate in the monarchy's performance, a rejection of the very dynamics that keep the institution alive. Even in something as seemingly trivial as a weigh-in, Charles ensures that the power of the crown is never questioned, never diminished, and that every guest who crosses the threshold of Sandringham remains under its subtle yet unyielding influence. Given the immense wealth and opulence that surrounds the monarchy, one might naturally assume that the trestle tables in the red drawing room would be piled high with diamonds, designer watches, and perhaps even keys to luxury cars. A picture of excess showcasing the royal family's extravagant lifestyle. But the reality is starkly different, a contrast so sharp it almost seems like an act of rebellion against the very wealth that defines their public image. There is a strict, unspoken rule that has governed the royal gift-giving tradition for decades, a quirky, almost paradoxical custom that turns the expected on its head. The presents exchanged at Sandringham are not extravagant. In fact, they must be cheap and they must be funny. Sincerity is actively discouraged. The tradition is rooted in the spirit of mockery, where humor becomes the currency of the realm. The value of the gift is not measured by its cost or its grandeur, but by the wit and the playful jabs it contains. The royal Christmas gift exchange is, in essence, a release valve, a way for the royal family to let off steam in a world that demands perfection and propriety. When surrounded by the trappings of luxury and wealth, the only true way to break the tension is through laughter, and the only acceptable currency for that is humor. To show affection or sincerity through a lavish gift would be seen as out of place. Instead, the royals use their gifts to mock each other, to deflate the seriousness of their roles, and to remind themselves that in the end, they are not just sovereigns but human beings who can laugh at themselves. This tradition not only serves as a form of psychological release, but also as a test for those marrying into the royal family. Newcomers must navigate this delicate and often awkward exchange, understanding that in this family, it's not about the expense of a gift, but about the ability to laugh, to poke fun at one another, and to belong to the unique world of the Windsors. Princess Anne once famously gave her brother Charles a leather toilet seat, a gift that perfectly encapsulates the spirit of royal gift-giving, humorous, unexpected, and decidedly unrefined. Kate Middleton, before her marriage to Prince William, followed suit with a similarly unconventional offering, a grow-your-own-girlfriend kit, a tongue-in-cheek present that, while perhaps awkward for a first Christmas together, embodied the same playful mockery that defines the family's holiday traditions. This quirky tradition serves a crucial psychological purpose within the royal family, acting as a release valve in an environment that often feels more like a gold-plated fishbowl than a home. Living under the constant gaze of the public, with every action scrutinized and every move recorded, the Windsors have little room to let their guard down. In such a high-pressure atmosphere where the stakes are always high and appearances are everything, humor becomes a vital tool for maintaining sanity. When you have access to all the material wealth in the world and can buy anything you desire, the usual markers of gift-giving, thoughtfulness, expense, or luxury lose their meaning. The royal family, surrounded by an endless stream of wealth and privilege, turns to something far more valuable: wit. The true value of a gift at Sandringham is not measured by its price tag, but by its ability to make others laugh, to remind everyone of their shared humanity, and to offer a moment of respite from the weight of their public roles. The ability to poke fun at one another, to share in the absurdity of the world they inhabit, becomes the true currency of their inner circle. In a family that is bound by duty and often separated by the formalities of monarchy, this tradition allows them to connect on a personal level. It is a way to break down the walls of hierarchy and tradition, even if only for a brief moment, and show that despite their royal titles and responsibilities, they are at the core just a family with a unique sense of humor. It is, without a doubt, the one time of year when the rigid hierarchy of the royal family is temporarily flattened by humor. In this rare, light-hearted moment, the king himself can be gently mocked for his eccentricities without the fear of treason or disrespect. For a family so often bound by duty and tradition, this gift exchange offers a rare break from the formalities. Here, no one is immune from good-natured teasing. The monarchy's long-standing tradition of humor creates a space where even for the most senior royals, the pressures of their titles can be momentarily shared. It is a chance for the family to remember that despite their grandeur, they are still human, prone to quirks, flaws, and eccentricities just like anyone else. However, this tradition is not just a playful exercise in mockery, it also serves as a test for newcomers. Marrying into the royal family is notoriously challenging, a process fraught with scrutiny, expectation, and the unspoken pressures of royal life. The Christmas gift exchange, with its unspoken rules, acts as a subtle but effective initiation rite for anyone joining the Windsors' inner circle. For those unfamiliar with the royal customs, it is an easy trap to fall into. Princess Diana, in her early days with the family, famously struggled during her first Christmas, gifting expensive cashmere sweaters, luxurious, thoughtful presents she believed were appropriate for the occasion. However, her generosity was met with something far less extravagant, novelty gifts cheeky in nature but decidedly unrefined in comparison. Diana, mortified by the exchange, quickly learned the true value of royal gift-giving was not in its price, but in its wit. Navigating the cheap and cheerful rule requires more than just an understanding of what makes a good joke. It demands a nuanced understanding of British self-deprecation, a cornerstone of the royal family's character. Here, the worth of a gift is not measured by how much money is spent, but by how well one understands the culture, the humor, and the subtle codes that define the Windsors. To succeed in this ritual is to prove that you belong, not by lavishing gifts on the family, but by demonstrating an understanding of their traditions and their humor. It's a test of wit, of humility, and of belonging, where the ability to laugh at oneself and others is the true mark of inclusion. If you've ever wondered what it's really like inside the royal family's holiday traditions, this glimpse behind the curtain should have answered some of your questions, but we're just getting started. To learn more about the secrets of the royal family and their fascinating world, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about these bizarre royal customs? Do they seem charming or a bit over the top? Join the conversation and stay tuned for more shocking royal revelations.